All right, guys, we are here today. Let me know if you can hear the music. Ooh, got a lot going on today. Yeah, a lot of stuff happening. Got a lot going on today. Up or down from this report? All right, you can hear the music good. Now, we've mostly been bullish today, although we did dip a little bit recently. Apple's kind of sideways. And, yeah, so we're going to cover the closing bell as well as the announcement here for sure. Yeah, let's do the poll. All right, does the market react positively or negatively to the tariff announcement at 4 p.m.? Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, so again, you got to see the SPY. We're honestly pretty flat on the day. What I mean by that is here's the previous closing price right here on the SPY and on the Q. If I pull up the actual NQ here, let's see if I can. Yeah. If I pull up the actual NQ here, the NASDAQ, you can kind of see like it went up originally and then it kind of pulled back with the rest of the market. Market's been a little more apprehensive last hour or two. Still pretty flat right down the middle. We'll see if the market continues up. It's right at 472.50s on the Q, which is the previous closing price. The SPY is right around the previous closing price as well. SPY's at 561.80s. Previous closing price is about 561 even or so. And yeah, we'll see what we get. Market's coming back down though. Looks a little weaker now. Looking at the rest of the stocks. Tesla had a pretty good day. Tesla up a lot after quarterly one delivery numbers missed. Tesla up to 280s from 250s. Very strong percentage bounce back up after a weak time. I think if Tesla can get back over 300, it's looking better. Yeah, so it's looking better if we can get back over 300 or so. So Liberation Day. That's what we're here. We got almost 400 people here already. We got 40 minutes left until I'll put a timer up. We got 40 minutes left. We'll get it rolling here. Hold on. All right, so here's the timer. And yeah, let's do this. Bull or bear? Looking at the poll, we're still pretty split down the middle versus everybody. 46% bullish reaction, 54% think we're going to have a bearish reaction. Do you think the tariffs are a good idea or a bad idea? Say yes for good idea, no for bad idea. I mean, in theory, they're supposed to rebuild U.S. manufacturing, and that's good, but that's going to take time, and initially the reaction's obviously negative. I'm politically neutral. Anybody that watches my stream understands it. No, yes, no. Yeah, so most people don't think it's good. All right, guys. So again, Liberation Day. Yeah. No, I think it's a good question. Not the most political. It's reasonable in terms of economics. Yes, we'll be streaming the full speech. Put this up. Instead of tariffs, why does the government say that companies that import from inside the country get less taxes? This way everybody will be happy. Yeah, I mean, I'm for that. But I'm not the president, so. All right, so again, guys, we still got about 30 minutes left. 30 minutes. Bull for gold. Yeah, I heard gold. Let me see. Did it break? Yeah, gold broke all-time highs the day before, 3 days ago. Or no, actually today. Gold broke all-time highs today, right? Yeah. Gold recently broke all-time highs and hit 31.77.7. So gold broke all-time highs. The previous all-time highs prior to this point were 31.77 even. So they went up almost $1 in gold, but they kind of retraced all the way back down for gold. So gold went up to that point, and then kind of came right back down. So reciprocal punitive tariff seems circular, bad, and endless. Yeah, I feel that. I can understand that. Can't always watch the shows. Yeah, appreciate it. Why is he doing this at market close? I think he knows what the reaction will be. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that you see pretty regularly in finance is big catalysts are either released after the closing bell, like you can think of like earnings released after the closing bell, after 4 p.m. earning announcements for Tesla. Any big company almost always releases their earnings after the closing bell. If you look at the Mag 7 stocks, the Magnificent 7, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and all the other ones. If you look at those stocks, they're almost always releasing it after the closing bell. There's a reason for it. I think, it gives more people time to watch it, number one. It also curbs some of the volatility from it. I think if you release that stuff during actual market hours as opposed to extended hours trading, you're going to get a lot more brutal reactions during market hours because that's when the liquidity is at its peak. It's at the highest, if that makes sense. And so I'm sure they're using the same blueprint to release something like this, in which we're going to have a hopefully a little bit more muted of a reaction from this. And I'm sure that's what the analysts are telling them. So that's probably what's going on. You think we go higher at close or drop 30 points? I got a feeling it's going to go bad. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we actually reacted pretty positively to all this stuff today. Market went up. I mean, we're still pretty flat overnight. Like, here's the previous closing price. So over the last 24 hours, we're kind of neutral. But that's better than, we opened up pretty red this morning in fear, and then we kind of rebounded back up after the opening bell. So basically 7.5. That's basically right. Yeah, close enough. All right, we got about 500 people here. We still got 30 minutes or so until this report comes out. So. John was warning about NMAX this morning. Is it down? Yep. I mean, this is why you do not buy, like, look, man, one of the most common movement patterns in human psychology in general is optimism, mania, crash. Okay? Very common. And again, if you have to be able to channel that and not get too manic about stocks, right? Like Newsmax obviously was way too freaking high. Opened up at 14, went to 265, and then back down. Now it's under 180. Now it's under 60. It's at $55 a share. Not a shock, right? This is why I told people this morning, I do not play IPOs. I don't care how good it looks. I don't care how many other traders are telling me to buy it. I don't care how much FOMO I have. Oh, I'm scared of missing out. In the end, you have to get to a point in trading and investing where you do not care about missing out on something, and you more so revert to like an account preservation mindset. Because if you don't, you're just going to get primed to get rug pulled like Newsmax today. And NMAX, under $60 a share. This is why I don't touch IPOs. Too risky. One more thing comes to reading charts. When the easiest read charts and indicators. What's the easiest way to read charts and indicators when you started? Did you have trouble comprehending? I mean, once you learn it, I've been doing it for long enough to where it's hard for me to even remember what it was like learning it. I remember I knew what a chart was, but understanding the nuances of like candlesticks, how to read charts, technical patterns, highs and lows, like the spread, so like the bid and the ask and what's in between that, and the level 2 and time and sales and all that different stuff, that can be really a lot of jargon. It can seem intimidating. It's even like the movie Big Short talked about this. He said bankers and investors and money people like to use big words to push people away from actually doing this type of stuff, but once you start to learn it, once you learn the jargon and you know what it all means, it becomes easier, obviously. But yeah, Microsoft up to 380s, rebounding. Amazon's honestly popping back up a little bit. It's kind of pushing the market back up. Here's Amazon testing 196 again. It went almost to $200 today, so it's doing pretty well. Yeah, Palantir, people asked me when Palantir was at 125, hey John, are you buying Palantir? And my response was, I think Palantir's a good company, don't get me wrong. But there's times to buy a company, like somebody said this, I can't remember who it was. But there's the right time to buy, there's the right time to buy bad companies and the wrong time to buy good companies. And so you need to understand both of those things if you want to be successful in trading. You know, you can buy bad companies at optimum value prices and have a huge edge. You can buy good companies and lose boatloads of money if you buy it at the wrong price. And so Palantir is one of those companies for me where good company, when it was at 125, PE ratio 600 or 700, not the time to buy that thing. Just not the time to buy it. And again, maybe it keeps going up and I miss out on a huge run. That's fine. That's kind of how it goes. But you got to protect your account, I think, a little bit. All right, so still pretty choppy leading into this report. Not a shock. This is power hour. A lot of the time we get big moves, but right now the NASDAQ very flat. Starting to move up a little bit right now, though, leading into the closing bell. We got 30 minutes left. Yeah, we're waiting here, guys. We're waiting. All right, guys. At around 4 p.m., the president is expected to unveil what his team is branding as, quote, Liberation Day, a sweeping reciprocal tariff regime that could instantly reset the rules of trade. Fair trade has erupted into full-blown policy blitz aimed squarely at America's top trading partners. Sources suggest the announcement could include a 20% tariff on imports from countries that impose high duties on U.S. exports or run large trade surpluses. From China to Germany, from Japan to Mexico, foreign exporters are bracing and worried about this report. Absolutely worried, right? Like, this is an influential report that we're going to cover. I'm sure the markets are going to respond in one way or another. Insiders are hinting that semiconductors, EVs, pharmaceuticals, and consumer electronics could be among the first industries hit. And if they do hit semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, EVs, you know, we might see some movement from this report. It depends on how strong, though. A lot of stuff is frozen. Algorithms are waiting. People aren't, you know, trading as much. At 4 p.m. Eastern, he's supposed to step on the podium. We'll see what he says. Hopefully he says good things. I'm a bull. I don't really want the market to go down. It doesn't matter who is running for office, who's in office. I wanted the market to go up during the last presidency. I want the market to go up now. But we'll see if it does. We'll see if it does. Still got 30 minutes left here, chat. 30 minutes. Thank you for tolerating my crudeness, John. Yeah, I mean, listen, we got a good community here. Like, yeah, we get haters that stick their head in and try to ruffle feathers. In the end, they don't matter. Like, it's not like I'm ever going to be like, oh, I got too many haters, let me quit doing this. Like, they're just somebody who I kind of feel bad for, and we kind of move on with life. Most of you guys are genuinely good people. Genuinely supportive of what I'm doing here, which is just giving people free stuff. Like, I'm trying to give people free content, not charge for anything, tell people the truth about markets. And yeah, I'm trying to make money too, of course. That's what we do this for. But I appreciate you guys. We're trying to cover everything that might move markets, so you can have like a one place to find all that stuff. And honestly, it's been going well. We've been growing a lot. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Kay, for the donation. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, so I heard about Amazon buying TikTok. We'll see. You know, we'll see if they do. Billionaires getting in the social media game. Look at the market pump up here, guys. So market's up to almost 750s, 750s. I think the big level, I got a lot of lines on my charts because I short-term trade. But the big level, I'm going to put the regular NASDAQ up. I think I probably got less. Yeah, the bigger level here is 20K. 20K is going to be that level, I think. Here's 20,000 right here. So if we keep pushing up, $20,000, it's just a big milestone level. This level right here is going to be that level on the NASDAQ that you want to watch. On the SPY, let's take a look. We can look at the SPY. I mean, I think the SPY right now is the high of the day. If we got some other highs up here, 600 on the SPY right up here, probably a pretty big level. If we're looking at the NASDAQ, yeah, and Amazon pumping on the TikTok news, or rumor, I guess I should say, $500 on the Q is probably a pretty big level. Just milestone levels where traders' minds automatically revert to looking at those milestone levels. That's why they're relevant, and they do, you know. I wonder if there's one of the strategies I use is attacking support or resistance. One of the ways I do it is looking for milestone levels, and I'm sure if you just waited to test levels and find influence from big levels like that, you could probably find some pretty profitable systems doing so. Maybe, I mean, obviously it's not as it's easier said than done, but yeah. Let me find my hat over here. All right, guys. NASDAQ's pumping up, though. 740s right now, 740s. All right, there it is. Put this over here. A little bit better. There we go. All right, so market's pushing up. Amazon's popping up. NASDAQ still climbing. Amazon's helping drag it up a little bit. Tesla, very good day. Tesla marching towards 300. We'll see if it breaks it. Microsoft up. Although Microsoft's a little bit more flat. It's green, I guess, still. No, absolutely, Q. It's an ego game. Can't hate on somebody if you're secure about yourself. 100%. Yeah. Let's make a deal. Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of inflation over the past 5 years. That's something that's objectively true. A lot of inflation over the past 5 years. Prices have just gone up so much. Part of the reason was 2020 and like the supply chain restraints that we got from 2020. Like 2020 happened, supply systems were shut down. And that caused a lot of the inflation that we've seen over the past 5 years. But it wasn't just supply problems in 2020. It was also, we had so much economic weakness then that the Federal Reserve stepped in and they did economic stimulus. So they brought interest rates down to almost zero, because when interest rates are lower, both consumers and businesses have cheaper access to money. And when they have cheaper access to money, businesses expand, people spend more, and it stimulates the economy in that regard. They also did quantitative easing, which I've always give this definition because it's important to understand, but QE is a form of money printing in which they create bank reserves and use those bank reserves to buy up a bunch of bonds, mostly, and other financial assets. This injects liquidity into those markets, also increases spending, and ultimately stimulates the economy, helps keep interest rates down, a lot of different things. And not only do we have all that economic stimulus as well as supply chain restraints, but we also had stimulus checks that were sent to people. Basically, people had free money. And when they used those, a lot of them, just because everybody had more cheap money, the consequence was obviously inflation. And so we had a lot of different things over the past 5 years that caused inflation. And even though the rate at which inflation is growing, if we look at CPI or PCE inflation, the rate at which it's growing is not relative to average, not super high right now. It's 2.7% for core PCE last Friday. We're still dealing with the high prices that we had over the last 5 years. Prices relative to 2019 have 2 or 3x in a lot of places. So people are just dealing with that. And the Fed's still been pretty restrictive. They cut rates 3 times last year, about 1 full percentage point. But they're still doing QT to a certain extent. They've still been somewhat restrictive as well. Interest rates aren't down that much, and they haven't cut them anymore. So interest rates are still kind of high, pushing the economy down a little bit. But to a certain point, it's like picking up pennies in front of a train track, where you can keep interest rates high for a certain amount of time, but if you do it for too long, obviously it's going to have negative effects on the economy. And a lot of people are going to argue that we're in that now, in which we're seeing the negative effects. A lot of people are going to argue we have a stagflation economy, which is weak economics and high inflation. And I can't really disagree. I don't know if we're there yet, but it's definitely looking a little more stagflation-y, if that makes sense. So we'll see if we continue to get high inflation and weak economics in terms of the metrics that we get. And we cover all the metrics here. We cover CPI, PCE, jobless claims, unemployment. Tomorrow we got jobless claims. Friday we got non-farm payrolls, unemployment report. So we'll see how those impact the market. But yeah, right now, pretty choppy leading into this report. We still got 20 minutes or so, almost exactly 20 minutes now. But the market's been up and down, hadn't really gone too much, or it hadn't really gone anywhere in the last hour or two. But we had a big run in the first half of the day. So the market's still pretty extended from the first half of the day, up a lot. And then it kind of came back down, and now we're kind of chopping sideways. So crab legs. I love crab legs too, man. The problem is I don't know what to eat. What's healthy changes every year. 1 year they say salmon's healthy. The next year they say salmon has parasites. They say all this crazy stuff. You don't even know what's healthy anymore. 1 year seed oils are good. The next year seed oils are bad. I don't know. Again, I'm not a health professional. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying all these rumors coming out, you don't even know what to eat anymore. The world's getting funny. Yep, I did say stagflation-y. That's my word. I'm going to patent that word. Remember, guys, I'm not a market professional. I might be terrible at what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about anything. Entertainment only. Wins or losses may not be conducted in real time or on stream. Do not copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Understand CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations. I'm not an investment professional. That's it. One of the things that's honestly been really helpful for me is jiu-jitsu. It's got me in a lot, really good shape. I honestly have not been sick once. I've been training for years now. Since I started trading, I have not had a cold. I have not had the flu. I've not had anything. I haven't been sick once. Which is weird because you would assume that I would get sick more being in close contact with people. Which is, shout out to jiu-jitsu, man. Great sport. Tesla pushing up to 285s right now. 285s. Hey, thank you, healthy living. I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Yeah, I love salmon. I'm gonna eat salmon no matter what. I don't care. But yeah, irregardless of how stagflation-y this may look. Yeah, I guess if I'm gonna criticize the use of irregardless, I guess I can't say stagflation-y. I guess that's true. All right, Tesla just turned quickly too. Look at Tesla. Something happened? Buy or sell, John? Dude, I have no idea. I don't know whether the market's going to go up, down, or sideways. I really don't. I try to be honest. And so I'm going to tell people I have no freaking idea if the market's going to go up, down, or sideways. Depends on what he says. He says optimistic good things that the public interprets as good. Market might go up. He says, you know, and people are pretty fickle about these reports. Regardless of who's doing the report, you could look at earnings and see like good EPS, good revenue, good guidance drop 10% because of one small nuance in the report that people, you know, the public digests, and for whatever reason they don't like this one small nuance of information. I'm sure it's probably going to be pretty similar here. I'd love for the market to go up from this report, but again, I have no idea. Bruce Lee was a gangster. Now, could he be modern MMA fighters? Probably not. You know, just because Taekwondo and some of the other stuff is you know, different story. We got 15 minutes. 15 minutes. All right, guys. It's time. Liberation Day. Yeah, the tariffs are implemented today. I mean, I'll help you find them, Corey. But I don't know if I'm going to cover them. Tesla coming down a little bit at 280s. Market's still pushing up, mostly from Amazon. So I see some Millbank stuff going on. All right, guys, we got 13 minutes. NASDAQ pumping, Tesla pushing up, Q's pushing up, Amazon's pushing up, Google's moving up. It's green on the day. Microsoft's moving up. So Adriana Kugler has a speech today titled Inflation Expectations and Monetary Policy Making at the Griswold Center for Economic Policy students and some other stuff. And then we also got Powell this Friday. Powell speaks this Friday. Yeah, there's a rumor about Amazon, but I'm not sure if it's finalized or... I'm sure it's not finalized, but there's a rumor about it. Gold just turned red, but still flat. Yeah. Gold broke all-time highs today. I mean, sometimes what happens is like they break all-time highs and then come right back down. They don't always run after breaking highs. The rumors that they're going to buy TT, since it has to be sold to somebody in the U.S. The rumors that Amazon put in a bid for them, but I don't. Obviously, it's not accepted yet, but that's the rumor. Yeah. So, all right, guys, we got 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Nasdaq's pushing up. It's at 477s. Hey, John, based on news expectations, is the dollar index going to go up? I mean, not necessarily. It depends on whether markets interpret the speech as economic strength. If they interpret it as economic weakness, the Dixie will probably go down. But, you know, I think it could go either way. Dixie's a different animal. Hey, John, how about A gold? What's the volume of, what's A gold? Gold, so gold is at 31.65. It recently broke all-time highs today. Hit 31.77, and that's per ounce of gold. So, yeah, it's currently at 31.65. Yeah. 1 ounce of gold is currently $3,165.20. Yeah, no problem. Tariffs on gold today. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I don't think that's going to be the most influential. All right, guys, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. We're waiting here. Yeah, gold has had a day. Gold has definitely had a day. Yep. Be ready. We got 25 minutes. Yeah, so again, plans to roll out fresh rounds of tariffs today. He's dubbed it Liberation Day. The reciprocal tariffs are expected to be announced in an event in the White House Rose Garden at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the president's plan will place reciprocal tariffs on nearly all U.S. trading partners. Yeah. So, we're here. We're waiting. Gonna get it in a second. I'm gonna mute the music. And we're gonna get ready here. Yeah, we're finding the links. We got it basically right now. But yeah, we'll see what the market does, chat. We'll see. Yeah, sorry. I'm going to mute the music for a second. Man, that's way too loud. Yeah, we're waiting. We got 7 minutes, chat. 7 minutes. You can see the timer on the left side of the screen. Tesla up. Yep, waiting. You guys ready? Give me your last minute predictions. Bull or bear? Yeah, of course. We're streaming the full thing live right here. We're waiting for it to start. All right, so we got mostly bulls, or mostly bears. Bear, bull. We got a couple bulls. Again, all I know is I'm not really trading right now. I'm not really trading. It's too risky to take any big positions here. I'm gonna sit tight and wait. It's too risky. It's too risky right here. I'm just gonna wait. Trap. Yeah, I mean it depends. You could sell, but yeah. All right, guys. So again, we're waiting. 5 minutes. Yeah, futures are open 23 hours. So, I mean, if you're trading futures, if you're trading stocks, most stocks are at least going to be open in extended hours. Yeah, so green. Yeah, so again, we'll put this up on screen so you guys can catch it. Let me get this rolling here, get the setup. Do y'all want full screen or would you rather see charts? Make this a little bit larger here. I might just do full screen. Hold on. Yeah, so they're still playing music. Found it. All right, here. I got a better one for you guys. All right, guys. Yeah, so it's getting ready to start. We got 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Here, we might as well put it up. try to get some stuff at the top here so it's not fully cut off. It's not going to work. Keep the Q up here. We could probably zoom in a little bit here. Make sure I don't block this. Go to the other end. And then we'll get another chart up. All right, guys, you guys ready? We got 2 minutes. 2 minutes here. Let me put a different chart up so you guys can see it. I want to put some charts up. I want to watch the market reaction here is what I want to do. All right, how's that? That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. I can also turn the volume up here too. So we'll put like this. We'll put the nasdaq here, and then we'll put the SPY up on the top. Here's the NQ, and then we'll put the SPY up right here. Yeah, I think that's pretty clean. All right, guys, you ready? Oh wait, let me get this over here. Hold on. There we go. All right. Less than a minute. I'm going to turn my music off. I'm going to turn the sound all the way up, and we're honestly going to increase the sound a little bit more so you guys can really see it here. We'll get the volume up really loud just in case, just so you guys can see it. And we'll see how the market responds to this, guys. We're live here, so get the volume up. And yeah, just waiting here, waiting for them to start. We're completely live. So let's see how this goes, guys. Liberation Day is here. We're live. There's the closing bell. It's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, I'm going to mute the background. We got to go and streaming from a couple different places to make sure we get you guys like the most real time. All right, you guys ready? Yeah, he's a little late. Hadn't started yet. We're live on this, so make sure the volume is up. Yep. And let me exit out. Yeah, everybody's waiting here, guys. We're sitting tight. A little late. Nothing going on yet. Let me get the timer out the way. Volume is up. We are live. Yep. We got 2 different streams we're checking here. 2 different streams we're checking. They're calling it the Make America Wealthy Again event. So. Yeah, we got a couple different sources we're watching this from, so don't worry. Exit out of some stuff here. We're waiting, guys. We're waiting for them to start. Just sitting tight. We're about 3 minutes in. All right, guys. I'm waiting here. I'm waiting here for you guys. Ooh. Oof. The anticipation here, guys. NASDAQ almost back up to 20K today, man. It hit 19.9s. 19.9s. Almost back up to 20K. Yeah, they said it was going to be late this morning. A couple of people were like, yeah, he's always late. So they said it would be late this morning, so. It's kind of quiet here. I have no music. Yep, just waiting. Again, I got a couple different sources that I'm looking at to try to get you guys the earliest one. Here, I can actually... Yeah, so I'm looking here. So everybody's waiting. They're late. I'm kind of watching this. We're just kind of sitting tight waiting for this to start. So. Yeah, what do you think, or what sector of the economy do you think is going to be hit with the most tariffs? You think it's foreign vehicles? I think that's one that makes a lot of sense, foreign vehicles. Obviously, oil is going to be a big talking point today, although, you know, we'll see what that means. But what's up? Okay. Is this better? That should be better, right? There you go. Let me know if that's better on the NQ. NQ's starting to push up. It's at 19.752s here. 19.752s. Yeah, they're still waiting for him to come out. Yeah, groceries a big talking point. EVs, tech, microchips. I think microchips is probably the biggest one. Where like if we come out really restrictive on microchips, that might really influence the market. The market's up a lot over the past couple months, years really, because of Nvidia, AMD, MU. You know, a lot of microchip companies flying up, a lot of startups flying up. AI is taking off, and so I think if he comes out really restrictive regarding microchips, that's going to evoke the strongest reaction most likely in markets, especially if it can negatively affect Nvidia, AMD, all the big cap blue chip microchip companies, and even the small ones like Supermicro Semiconductors, Palantir. Palantir's not small. Palantir's a huge company, but I'm just throwing that one in there too. Obviously, I think we got to watch Tesla. We got to watch like Rivian, Tesla, Rivian. All these different companies are really important to pay attention to. Just based off of what he says during this event. I don't usually cover this stuff, but like I think this report is influential enough to where I need to cover it. It's just such a big part of the day to day on April 2nd. We just got to cover it. So Tesla, eggs, groceries. Yeah, groceries honestly very relevant. Probably one of the most relevant things for consumers. All right, here we go. Let me know how the sound is, guys. Sound good? All right, let's go. It's time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice crowd. What a good-looking group of people. Well, we have some very, very good news today, and a lot of good things are happening for our country. Please sit down. My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day, waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. We're going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy. For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen, we have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple, can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where are you, J.D.? No, that wasn't too hard to find. I was looking, you know, he likes to take a low-key attitude, so it'd usually be sitting right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike, isn't he? And nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job. And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7. And 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job. And many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, Congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on foreign trade barriers, and I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's very, frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles. The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that, friend and foe, and in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame these other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and past leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen, and they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles. Thank you. Brian, I'd like to have you come up here for a second, okay? I just see him sitting. He's been a fan of ours, and he understands this business a lot better than the economists, a lot better than anybody. Brian, say a few words, please, would you?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
It's a great honor to have you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I grew up just north of Detroit, Michigan, in Macomb County, known as the home of the Reagan Democrats. My first vote for president was for Ronald Reagan. I thought that was going to be the best president I ever saw in my lifetime until Donald J. Trump came along. I have watched my entire life, I have watched plant after plant after plant in Detroit and in the metro Detroit area close. There are now plants sitting idle. There are now plants that are underutilized, and Donald Trump's policies are going to bring product back into those underutilized plants. There's going to be new investment. There's going to be new plants built. And the UAW members, and I brought 20 of them with me, they're sitting right over here. We support Donald Trump's policies on tariffs 100%. So, Mr. President, we can't thank you enough. And in 6 months or a year, we're going to begin to see the benefits. I can't wait to see what's happening 3 or 4 years down the road. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Thank you. What a great guy. He got it right from the beginning. He got it before almost anybody else. This group over there, they got it too. And you know, we won the state of Michigan. We won almost all of them, but we won Michigan by a lot, and I want to just thank you all. The auto workers were fantastic. The Teamsters were fantastic. Everyone was pretty good, I will tell you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're going to be very happy very soon, and you probably see what's happening with all of the, not only car companies, but car companies in particular. See it with all of the ones they're moving, they're announcing day in, day out. You're seeing it. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. With today's actions, we're also standing up for our great farmers and ranchers who are brutalized by nations all over the world. Brutalized. Canada, by the way, imposes a 250 to 300% tariff on many of our dairy products. They do the the first can of milk. They do the first little carton of milk at a very low price, but after that it gets bad, and then it gets up to 275, 300%. So when they're figuring what's Canada charging, they say, oh, about 2%, 3%. But take a look at what happens down the road. When you look a little bit, it's not a pretty picture, and we don't like it, and it's not fair. It's not fair to our farmers. It's not fair to our country. And with countries like Canada, you know, we subsidize a lot of countries and keep them going and keep them in business. In the case of Mexico, it's $300 billion a year. In the case of Canada, it's close to $200 billion a year. And I say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, at what point do we say, you got to work for yourselves, and you got to, this is why we have the big deficits. This is why we have that amount of debt that's been placed on our heads over the last number of years, and we're really not taking it anymore. Through non-tariff barriers, the European Union bans imports of most American poultry. You understand? They say, we want to send you our cars, we want to send you everything, but we're not going to take anything that you have. Australia bans, and they're wonderful people and wonderful everything, but they ban American beef, yet we imported $3 billion of Australian beef from them just last year alone. They won't take any of our beef. They don't want it because they don't want it to affect their farmers. And you know what? I don't blame them, but we're doing the same thing right now, starting about midnight tonight, I would say. And China charges American rice farmers an overquota, it's called, a tariff rate of 65%. South Korea charges 50%. Actually, they charge different, from 50% to 513%. And Japan, our friend, charges us 700%. But that's because they don't want us selling rice, another thing. Who can blame them, Madam Secretary? Agriculture, great job you did on eggs, by the way. The egg prices came down 50%. You got them down 50%. Once we got involved, they were going through the sky. The egg prices, they were going through the sky, and you did a fantastic job. Now we have lots of eggs, and they're much cheaper, down about 59% now, and they're going down further. We charge 2.8% for so many things that other countries are charging 200%, 300%, and 400% for. If imposing tariffs and protective barriers made nations poor, then every country on earth would be racing to eliminate these policies, and China would be the first on line. They run a very strong country, but they're not first in line, and the American people are paying a very big price. From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay. And then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first. And I'm sorry to say that. And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first. In Sleepy Joe Biden's last year in office, the United States hemorrhaged 100,000 manufacturing jobs, and the number was going through the roof at levels never seen before. And our trade deficit reached a record $1.2 trillion, which is unheard of. Since the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made, it was a horror show. I was able to terminate it. They all said you'd never be able to get it out. We had to get approval from Congress to get it terminated. We had to live with that deal. It was the worst trade deal ever made by far. But since the very beginning of NAFTA, our country lost 90,000 factories. Think of what that is, 90,000. Think about putting a map up and putting tax on it. You wouldn't have enough room. 90,000. I said, is that possible? We had it checked 4 different times, and it was actually somewhat higher than that. And 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost while racking up trade deficits of $19 trillion. That was the worst trade deal ever made. As a result of these gigantic losses, foreign nations now own $26 trillion more of American assets than think of this, than the Americans own of their own foreign assets or other foreign assets. The United States can no longer produce enough antibiotics to treat our sick. We have a tremendous problem. We have to go to foreign countries to treat our sick. If anything ever happened from a war standpoint, we wouldn't be able to do it. We import virtually all of our computers, phones, televisions, and electronics. We used to dominate the field, and now we import it all from different countries. A single shipyard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people, very kind. You're not so kind when you got ripped off with your salaries. My auto worker friends and my Teamster friends and all of the unions that typically voted Democrat, they're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the Republicans now. That's what happened. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually. They're coming in from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, you know, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left, and he's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades, and it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China and charged them. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs, and they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand, and the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. A trade is not fair. And he said, I know that, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left on the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. You know, we're paying them billions of dollars, and we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it. Brazil, 10%, 10%. Bangladesh is 74%. So you see what's going on. Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. So what we're doing is we're taking not the full, we could take the full 88%. Thanks a lot, Aaron. He's doing a very good job. How's he doing, all right? I think you better take it with you. It's not going to last very long. He's going to put it, it's going to follow you down with the wind. I brought a hat just in case it got too windy, but here, would anybody like a hat? I'm not giving it to a cabinet. I'm giving it to the auto workers. Come here. Thank you, fellas. Get it. That's it. That's it. They deserve it more than our cabinet. Our cabinet has plenty of hats. But you see the numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart. And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. So we're going to have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be very severe on the people that at the gate that watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at the gate because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity, and there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do play. We're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept. To any company that objects to our common sense reciprocal tariffs, again, reciprocal, back and forth, back and forth. And I call this kind reciprocal. This is not full reciprocal. This is kind reciprocal. But what we do is we cut it in half. We charge them. My answer is very simple if they complain. If you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product right here in America, because there is no tariff if you build your plant, your product in America. And we've seen companies coming in like we've never seen before. Likewise to all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else who will soon be calling to ask for exemptions from these tariffs. I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like nobody can even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us, and start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm, and many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before, and it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward, and Brian, it's going to happen even faster than you said. You know, you might say, but it's already started. It's already started. Work's already begun on plants all around the country, and you see that as before. These are big, rich companies. We have $61 billion started on a big plant going up. It's going to be announced over the next 2 days, and they already started work. Many of these the biggest companies in the world, they've committed to build, build, build. We're going to build, 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 sir. And they came here to see me, and they wanted to know if they could have a press conference. I do as many as I can. I'm pretty busy trying to stop Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. We got to stop that. We got to stop the Houthis, which we're making tremendous. They like shooting ships down and out of the water, sinking ships. They get a kick out of it, but they're not getting such a kick out of it now, are they, Mr. Secretary? They're not getting such a kick out of that now. But here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment. And this is a company that built its factories and its plants in China. Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the way they're not paying it is to build their plant here. So we're going to go from almost no percentage. We used to have 100% of the chip market. Now it's all in Taiwan. Almost all of it's in Taiwan, a couple of other countries, but mostly in Taiwan. And think of it, we had 100%. We lost it because of people in that office that didn't do their job. They allowed it to be stolen from us. Johnson & Johnson, great company, $55 billion. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Meta, is investing $500 billion. Wow. The MAC is investing $20 billion. CMA, CGM, $20 billion. And then you have Merck and Clarios, Stellantis, General Motors, GE Aerospace, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai are all putting in billions and billions of dollars, and they're committed 100%. So. And we've never had, and this is after 2.5 months. This is after just a short, this all took place as soon as we came out with what everybody wanted to do. You know, I watched a gentleman today on television, used to work with Lee Iacocca, a very respected automobile person, and he said, you know, because they're asking people, and they try and get as many negative people as they can, but they can't find them too much. It's pretty hard to find in terms of what we're doing, especially when they see all this investment. They said, so tell me, what do you think of what Trump is doing from the automobile standpoint? He said, I can't believe it. Somebody is finally, he's an older guy, real pro, really top guy, with Lee Iacocca. He said, I never thought I'd see the day when this would happen, where somebody had the courage to go and do what has to be done. This is transforming our nation. Our entire nation is going to be transformed, not only with the cars, but on every single other item that's built. We're going to become an industrial powerhouse. And he said that so beautifully today. In fact, I'm going to find out, I'm going to get a tape, and Bruce, I'm going to get that tape, and I'm going to send it to you out in Long Island, and you're going to play it for the people. And all your union workers and your non-union workers out there, you got a pretty even split. But we have, so far, it looks like we're going to have about $6 trillion of investments, and you wouldn't do that in years in this country over the last number of years. $6 trillion, and that's going to be much higher by the end of the year. And think of what $6 trillion is. You wouldn't have even a small percentage of that under this other system. We're going to be an entirely different country, and it's going to be fantastic for the workers. It's going to be fantastic for everyone. There will never have been a transformation of a country like the transformation that's already happening in the United States of America. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's incredible to meet with the top people, people that you read about, very wealthy people, or people that are great managers and executives and presidents of big public companies, and to watch the enthusiasm they have now that they didn't have. They gave up on our country. They went to foreign countries and they built. Companies are pouring into our country at levels never seen before, with jobs and money to follow, and it's really beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, you know, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but, and they're going to fight, and they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like, I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away. And maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants. And I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them in there. This is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You'd have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to number one in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, like let's say in the first hour, and then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, "Oh no, don't do this." What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble, because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it looked like I was going to win, I announced that I was going to be doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years, but because I saw what was happening 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome, my old speeches, and that people would say I'd be on a television show, I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by these countries. I mean, nothing changes very much. The only thing that changed were the countries, but nothing really changes. But it's why it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term, hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions, so much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship with China. You know what the relationship was? He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big, that they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but they couldn't do it because the numbers were hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did that. And we were on our way to doing something like incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a lot of bad things happened. So when I said we got to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig, and we made it too big to rig, and we won in records, and it was a monumental win. And it was such an honor to see so many of you, like Brian and your friends, here with us to celebrate, and to more importantly celebrate what we're doing, because that wouldn't be a full celebration if we didn't do this, because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the very tired predictions earlier this year, but in February, core inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years, and the price of eggs, as you know, just in a month and a half, we were there for 4 weeks, and the first week I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got here. They said eggs have gone up at like 250% and you can't get eggs, and they were going crazy, and I said, I just got here. And then we got to work on eggs, and we got to work on everything, and our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job, Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to, and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it in the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot, and energy costs now are down, groceries are down, gasoline is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs. And it was that took place in 1 month, numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years, but after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history of our country. They had the highest inflation in the history of our country, brought up by energy and bad spending and bad policy, and a lot of bad things happened. How about allowing millions and millions and millions of people to pour into our country with open borders, where it's so sad to see even now, and I see our great secretary you have done, stand up please, Christy. Stand up. Kristi Noem. And Tom Homan. These people are doing a great job, but gotten them out in records. We have problems with judges that don't want them to go out. They want Tren de Aragua, and they want MS-13, the most vicious gangs ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Absolute killer gangs. They kill people. They don't even think about it. And we put them out, and we have judges now, radical left judges that want to, they don't want them to go out. They want them to even be brought back. Let's bring them back. You've done a fantastic job, and please thank everybody. Homeland Security, thank everybody. Appreciate it. And we now have a border that's the best border that we've ever had, even better than it was my first term. My first term we did good, but this one we really specialized in. We've done really well. And we had records then. We had the best, safest border. 4 years ago, we had the best border there ever was. And now we have, you've actually matched it and done even better. And we're going to get it down the right way. And we want people, by the way, to come into our country, but we want them to come in through a legal process. We want them to come in legally. We need more people. We need people to run these plants and to help the auto workers and the Teamsters and the non-union people and everybody else. But we need people and the farmers. And we're going to let people come in, but they want to come in. We want them to come in legally. They have to have the capability of loving our country, not people that hate our country. We don't want them in our country. And now we're going to pass the largest tax cuts in American history, and that's where we're relying on Mike and John Thune. And we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, and the Democrats will, because if they got in, the entire economy would collapse. This country was heading for a collapse under the people that you saw. They were horrible. I think one of the reasons people like the job, I have my highest approval ratings because I think they're comparing me to the worst administration in the history of our country, so I appreciate that at least. But Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader, appreciate it, Mike. John Thune have been fantastic, by the way. But they've been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our one big, beautiful bill. I'd like to name it that if you can. One big, beautiful. I made that statement about 6 months ago, and everybody calls it one big, beautiful bill. And it will be that. It'll have everything, the big tax cuts and every incentive there is. And it'll be fantastic. And by the way, for the cars, we're asking for an interest deduction on a loan. So if you build the car, only in America we do it, Brian. If the car's not built in America, you don't get the interest rate deduction. But if you build the car in America, if you buy a car, if it's built in America, then you get an interest rate deduction, tax deduction, and that's a big thing. It's going to be a big thing. I think that's going to pay for itself very quickly, that deduction. Never happened. We've never had anything like that before. Somebody said, where do you get the idea? Because it's so basic. You would think that would have happened a long time ago. It never did, and I'm very happy it didn't because now I can say that was my idea. But we're going to get us closer to the debt extension. We have to get the debt extension passed, and I know you're going to be able to do that, Mike, and it's very important that you do that. And all of the other things that the Senate budget plan gives us, along with working, because I know they're working together, John and Mike, and the two bills are going very well together. We need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts. We want the tax cuts to be permanent, spending cuts, energy and historic investments in defense, border, and so much more. We're covering everything. These will be phenomenal. There'll be no bill like this going to straighten. One bill is going to straighten out our country for many, many years to come. And we said, let's just do it and let's get it done. And some guys will love it and some guys will like it a little bit less because they're not getting what they were exactly looking for, but they're getting a lot. They'll never, if we get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress and Senate and congressmen, the senators and the congressmen, many of whom are here today, will be very proud of themselves. I really believe that it's going to set us on a whole new prosperous path. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. We're going to do that very strongly. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. John, thank you. Oh, look at all of our senators over there. Oh, boy. That's a nice group of people. But I won't like them so much if they don't get this bill done. That's a great group. And Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tremendous people. The Senate plan is my complete and total support, and the House plan likewise is very similar. They're moving along pretty much at the same clip, and as soon as you're ready, you'll show it to me, and I'm sure it'll have my support, Mike. Every Republican congressman and senator must unify. We have to unify. We can't be separated. We have to get it done. We have to get absolutely everything we can, and we have to take care of the American people. That's the only thing that matters. We have to take care of the American people first. We need to pass this bill immediately, get it done, including debt extension. From this day on, we're not going to let anyone tell us that American workers and families cannot have the future that they deserve. We're going to produce the cars and ships, chips, airplanes, minerals, and medicines that we need right here in America. The pharmaceutical companies are going to become roaring back. They're coming roaring back. They're all coming back to our country, because if they don't, they got a big tax to pay. And if they do, I'll be very happy, and you're going to be very happy, and you're going to be very safe. We're going to build our future with American hands, with American heart, American steel, and we're going to build it with American pride like we used to. We're approaching our 100th day as president, and have been given credit by a lot of people, actually, even some of the fake news. Can you believe it? Which in this case hopefully isn't fake, for having done more in that time than any other administration in the history of our country in the first 100 days. I think we've had an amazing, in terms of what we've done, what we've gotten accomplished. I'd like to see if we can get that war ended and another war from not starting in the Middle East. We have to get Russia. They're losing 2,000 on average, 2,500 people a day, young people, soldiers, Russian. Think of that. 2,500 through some days, but on average, probably over about a 1 week period, it's 2,712, they say. They're losing those soldiers. They're dying. They're being decimated. And they're not from our country, but they're from other countries. But they're human beings. They're from Russia. They're from Ukraine in this period, most of them. And we're going to get it stopped. It's a senseless war that would have never happened if I was president, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And I think we're being given good cooperation by Russia and by Ukraine, but we have to get it stopped. It's humanity. It's humanity. It's a terrible thing. This will be a very big moment. I think you're going to remember today. It's going to be a free nation that we're dealing with. We're going to have a very free and beautiful nation. It's going to be Liberation Day in America, and it's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right. This has turned out to be one of the most important days in the history of our country. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for the tariff speech today, man. Honestly, we did not get a good reaction in markets. You can see the NASDAQ. I was just talking about it in chat. The NQ, let me fix this. The NASDAQ is down about 5% from this report. It's down from about 20K down to about 19,000. Now, a couple levels you want to watch in markets, guys. And again, I'm completely neutral. I'm not rooting for anything. I'm not, against anything, really. I'm pretty politically neutral. I really am. I dislike the whole realm of politics. But this is a market mover. Market's been fearing this report for weeks and weeks now. And so a very relevant report. And obviously the market certainly reacted to it on the downside. We are now down 5% on the NQ. One of the stocks that's getting a little bit more beat up is Apple here. And it kind of makes sense because they import a lot of stuff overseas, products, goods. Their margins are going to get worse after these tariffs, especially on the tariffs from China. The margins are just going to get worse. They produce a lot of things in China, and they do not like these tariffs. And that's part of the reason the market's dropping so drastically from this report. But most major tech and stocks are down. Microsoft is down pretty big. Meta down pretty big. Tesla obviously down pretty big, down to 270, but a lot of stuff's still green on the day. So again, while it is a pretty big drop in the NQ specifically, about 5%, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world drop. And so again, I don't usually cover political stuff. This was just a market mover I needed to cover. And again, for all the new people here that might not tune into my regular streams, We cover every breaking economic news release in markets. Like if you want to know what's going on in economics and markets, we cover everything. Tomorrow we have jobless claims, unemployment filings. Friday we have non-farm payrolls and unemployment. Both of them drop at 8:30, and we get thousands of people here for those reports because we cover them quickly and we break it down, let you understand what's going on in the economy. A lot of stuff going on this week and next week, so just be ready. We have CPI inflation next week. We got payrolls on Friday. We also have FOMC Chairman Jerome Powell speaking on Friday. We'll stream all of this stuff completely live on stream. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Remember, I'm not an investment professional. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Do not copy me. I do trade off stream. Sometimes you don't see it. We do trade live every day. Top 3 worst trader of all time ever in the world. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. Now that disclaimer's out the way, if you want to check out one of my affiliates or partners, check out TopStep. If you want to learn to day trade, almost all day traders lose money. I don't care what course you take, who you follow, most day traders are losing money. It doesn't matter how good your mentor is or what course or whatever. If you want to limit your risk, try a funded account program. People might talk smack about them, but the reality is if you deposit $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, you're probably going to lose 2/3 of that at least learning to day trade. It makes no sense. If you buy a paper account with real-time data, some of them might cost 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. TopStep's base one is $49 a month. They give you a 50K demo. If you can make 3K in profit on that demo without losing 2K first, following their rules and conditions, they fund you 50K with a 90% split. And you get to keep your first 10K prior to that split kicking in. But if you fail, you're out 50 bucks. And so instead of risking and losing thousands of dollars, it's kind of like a souped up demo account for new traders that helps them learn. If they're good enough, they can then withdraw and fund their own account. And they've paid out almost $200 million. Great way to learn how to day trade, especially to limit risk when most day traders lose. And again, just to clarify, most day traders lose regardless of where they go, including here. Most day traders are going to lose, but frankly, it's a lot cheaper to lose here than it is to deposit tens of thousands of dollars trying to look cool in the markets. If you want to check it out, here's the link. Great way to help support the channel. We will be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We have jobless claims, unemployment filings. This is week-to-week unemployment filings. If you want to know the state of the economy, we're going to trade markets and then cover that report at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So be safe. I love you all. I appreciate you guys joining the stream today. And yeah, we'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day.